Oh boy, I have a special treat for everybody today. So, I was playing Final Fantasy XIV yesterday for about 45 minutes. And the funny thing about Final Fantasy is that you often just basically say, you know what? I would like to just play a different Final Fantasy. So, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing Final Fantasy X. If you'll excuse me a minute. Just wanted to tidy up. Don't want to have, an unkempt streaming space here. So, I'm starting a bit early. I'm going to be cutting off in about an hour and 15 so that I can do a podcast with my buddy Aaron. But I'm going to be coming back to Final Fantasy X. And I think that's kind of the plan moving forward here. At least for today. Now, the reason... I'm just noticing things in the background. Get it together, Dan. All right. So the reason I wanted to do this is twofold. One, I love Final Fantasy X. It was the first Final Fantasy that I ever played. To completion, I should say. I played through Final Fantasy X and then kind of worked my way backwards because I just loved it so much. It spoke to me at a very important time when I was younger and really had a deep impact on how I view the world and things that are very important to me. So, inspired a little bit by my friend Aaron over at With the Terrible Fates, Tales of Praxis, I wanted to play Final Fantasy X, record it, and get my thoughts kind of on celluloid for everybody. So, the second reason is because my other good friend, Stefan Heinrich Zimond, who you may remember from Studying Pixels if you're a fan of my older podcasts, he and I are doing a presentation in August about coziness and zen in video games. And I don't want to speak too much about it because we're going to be publishing something together on it as well. But I need some footage and I need some screenshots. So I thought, why not kill two birds with one stone? Three birds, really, because I also get to play one of my favorite games of all time. So, let's get started. Now I'm going to take a page out of, we'll use the standard. Yes. Ooh, we're going to go with the original. Both are good, both the soundtracks are fantastic, but we're going to be a little nostalgic today. So I'm going to take a page out of the Two Best Friends playbook. I'm not going to talk much during the cutscenes, because I just find them to be very beautiful. I'll do commentary afterwards, for sure. Pretty great opening shot, though. We start with weapons, but they're not being used. Clearly, these are warriors that are fighting, but this is a moment of calm. An idea which, by the way, permeates the entire game. The cycle of violence mixed with moments of calm.
Listen to my story. This may be our last chance.
Very awesome. So, I'm a huge fan of really detailed reads of opening scenes. That comes from my film training. I was a film student for a brief minute, and I just love movies. But the opening shot, and in this case the opening scene, can tell you everything you need to know about a story. So like I said, tons of violence is present. We're in these ruins, but nobody's fighting. The weapons are put up. They're calm. They're hanging around. And though they're quiet, one of the characters breaks off to say, hey, I'm about to tell you a story. Please listen to it. And now, for an entirely different scene, we've got this beautiful technological paradise compared to the ruins that we just saw. But, same character is here. Alright, so there's some kind of connection between what we saw and what we're seeing now. Clearly we know this is a story, so somebody's in the past here kind of recounting things.
Can I have your autograph?
Of course.
Also, I pronounce it Tidus, and that's because they say Tidus in the Dissidia games. And also, I grew up calling him Tidus.
I'll, do this.
But, funny thing about
I
Tidus,
don't mean it was for you.
this was the
Okay?
first voiced Final Fantasy game,
What seat?
and they didn't really plan for like, oh, we can have the player name the character. So then what you're going to notice is nobody says Tidus the entire time. Now, I think that was a limitation they weren't prepped for, but I also think that it works incredibly well for the story because it's just him. He's just this presence that like nobody can really quantify or qualify, I should say.
No prob. Alrighty.
So we're getting this intro.
Teach us how to blitz!
Oh man, I think my
Hey,
camera
I
just
got a
blipped
game to
out
play.
for a second.
Then teach us after.
Maybe tonight, well,
You can't tonight.
You can't tonight.
This is gonna be one of those games too, by the way, where I know every line.
Promise?
promise.
Very important. What are they doing? Some kind of symbol, some kind of thing that they're just showing off there, right? What does it mean? What does it mean? Still looks great, this game. This is the PS4 remaster, which I think is just the PS3 remaster, just upscaled maybe a hair. Still looks great, though. 2001, I think? 2002? Originally came out. Just unbelievable. And James Arnold Taylor, who also voices Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank, and I think he's in Star Wars,
I was in a coffee shop.
voices
running away
Tidus,
from home when
and I
I
think
heard
does a
the
great
news.
job.
Our hero, Jecht, gone, vanished into thin air. My dad must have been his biggest fan. I knew how sad he'd be. Heck, we all were that day. Zanar, I says to myself, what are you thinking? I went running straight back home. We sat up talking about Jecht all night. My dad and I never talked so much. Whoa. Didn't mean to reminisce, folks. Anyway, 10 years later, the Jecht Memorial Cup tournament is today. The two teams that have won through to the finals are, of course, the Abes from A East and the Duggles from C South.
Massive
I know
city,
there's a lot
right?
of people out there today to see the star of the Abes. In just 1 year, he's become the team's #1 player. He's Jecht's blood and the new hope of Blitzball. What kind of super play will he show us today? Will we see his father's legendary shot? I don't think I'm the only one excited here, folks.
A lot of info there. So, we're this guy Jecht's son. Jecht was a big shot in Blitzball, this game that we're about to see, and he's disappeared. And in the last year,
Make way.
Tidus has kind of become the golden boy,
Coming
right?
through, sorry.
But-
Hey, I'm gonna be late.
Overshadowed by his dad a little bit.
Hey.
I played this game 20 times. These scenes still get me. I remember, I just looked it up because I was curious if it was true. There was like a rumor, it's like another Playground rumor, that this was Rammstein. It's Bill Muir, or Muir, M-U-I-R, singing it, who had his own band called Till I Die, I think. Nobuo Uematsu made the orchestration. It's just one of those funny Playground rumors where it's like any heavy metal sounding must be Rammstein, must be System of a Down or somebody. So we got this badass guy showing up. We don't know much going on about him, but it seems like he's arriving with some kind of calamity here as the game's being played. Hey, random. Playing Final Fantasy X today, and I'm doing kind of color commentary as I do it. I got all jazzed from Final Fantasy XIV yesterday. I'm putting on my super academic hat today, because I love this game. So whatever's in that sphere is just decimating the city that we just walked through. And it seems like nobody really knows what's happening, right? This seems like a surprise attack. It's not like there was... We listened to that radio, right? The radio broadcast with Zanar talking about Jacked and Blitzball. It's not like they said, oh, and by the way, there's a war going on, right? There's no context clues that this was expected at all. Hey, it's that cool guy.
Orin! What are you doing here?
I was waiting for you.
What are you talking about?
This music, so good. I'm going to say that about every track. I mean, this entire soundtrack. I think this and Final Fantasy VII are Uematsu's best work, in my opinion.
It begins.
What?
Don't
But
worry.
it's an interesting thing to say to somebody, right? Don't cry.
What the? Hey!
So yeah,
wait!
important. Tidus is just as confused as we are. So it's not like he knows anything more than
Not
we do.
this way.
Look,
I mean, he knows Orin. Yeah, I think he knows Orin knows something, but we're not in any different position than the main character here.
we called it sin.
Sin.
Sin?
Gross. Yeah, it's just like a huge mollusk. Like a big tongue shooting clams. Clearly not used to it.
My old man?
I hope you know how to use it.
So, this is another thing, right? A lot of Final Fantasy characters start knowing how to fight. Obviously, Tidus does mechanically, but he's not as adept as, like, Cloud or Squall, right? Or even going back to, like, the Warriors of Light in Final Fantasy I, who are, like, prepared for the journey ahead of them. Tidus can barely hold the sword.
Don't bother going after all of them. Cut the ones that matter and run.
These are fun to think about, like, what they are, because I think they're just... I mean, we find out they're parts of Sin, basically. They're just, they literally call them Sin Spawn. I think we see the name in this fight. But they're just like these weird tendrils that shoot out. Good question, Random. So,
Get out of my town!
is
Can't wait to die.
this, like, these enemies, do they show up in other Final Fantasy games? No, not really. This is pretty particular to Final Fantasy X. There are other enemies in this game that do, but this one is pretty much the only thing that exists in Final Fantasy X, I should say. Orin rocks. Tidus is okay. He's learning. We'll cut him some slack. If I were in this position, I'd be lucky to hold the sword properly. Meanwhile, Tidus is pulling out limit breaks, like he's coming up with moves on the fly. Alright, so the thing about this monster is that it keeps using a move called Demi. And you can see, like, my HP is going down, right? But the thing about Demi is that it can never kill you. It just continues to take a percentage of your remaining HP. So I'm not going to heal, because there's no point. So I'm just going to... I already got rid of all the little guys that would have done the damage that could have killed me. So, see, it's doing less and less damage, so I'm just going to go ahead and wipe this guy out. There we go. Not that I'm going to do like a... I'm not... Look, I've played this game a million times. I'm not like a master of it by any means. There's people who like speedrun this thing, which is crazy to me because it's a very long game. Not compared to the recent Final Fantasy games, but still pretty long. So, that said, I do know a thing or two about this game. Looks like a vacuum cleaner. Yeah, it does.
What are you laughing at, old man? Auron, let's get out of here.
We're expecting.
Huh?
Also, where do you think we're gonna go? Have you seen this thing?
Give me a break, man.
So we're getting a sense of like how powerful Sin is, this thing, right? It can basically create infinite minions, like these little spiny guys, or it can just like sit on a city. Like it's Godzilla, basically, right? It's Godzilla if Godzilla could create a million tiny Godzillas. You want to go after the ones that flicker because that's how they show that they're about to shoot you. One Godzilla from the 1900s movie where he vomits babies that destroy half the planet. I haven't seen that one. I'm not surprised, though.
Trust me, you'll see.
So it's that Godzilla. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to have Tidus take care of the ones that flicker. Oh, shoot, it was Orin. Okay, moving forward, we're going to have Tidus take care of the ones that flicker. And we're going to have Orin take care of this thing. So just to take a minute, this music, right? Like I love, so listen to it very quickly, right? So there's the overarching kind of almost like horn that's playing in the foreground, right? This kind of soft lulling, like almost like a siren, like at a lower pace. But then in the back, there's just this do 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 do. It just keeps going up and up and up, just ratcheting the tension. Oh. Alright, so now, since it's very close to falling over, we're just going to let the ones flicker, because we both have good HP here. And that did it. Interesting shot. Building with Tidus's dad's face on it falls and basically blocks their way.
Go.
Could they not have pushed it? I don't think so. It looked like it was like a big machine. So this game, like some of the Final Fantasy games have like super strength. Like Cloud is a super soldier, right? I would argue that the characters in this game, even though they can use magic, they're more human. It's less like super powerful stuff, so they have to be a little craftier. Like they had to explode it so that it would fall off, otherwise they probably couldn't have done that.
You are sure?
Oh, I've got a little visitor here. Say hi to Miso, everybody.
This is it.
That's Sin. Not this. This is Miso.
This is no story. It all
I know.
begins here.
She's still small enough to sit like a parrot. And so, that's what I would call the first part of the intro, because we're about to go into the second part. But what we've learned is,
Hey!
we learn a little bit about Tidus, which is good.
Hey!
Somebody's screaming at us.
My old man?
So, Tidus's reaction, that voice we heard, that was Jecht. And there he is. It's the face on the screen.
I thought about a lot of things. Like where I was, what I got myself into. I started to feel
What do you think, Miso?
lightheaded,
You like Final
and
Fantasy
then
X?
sleepy.
Oh,
I think I had a dream. A dream of being alone.
gotta watch
I
her,
wanted
otherwise she'll
someone,
turn the stream off.
anyone beside me. so I didn't have to feel alone anymore.
Well, so he's not dead. I'll go ahead and spoil that, right? This isn't like it was all a dream plot. But he was swimming.
Anybody there? Aaron! Hey!
Oh, my bird friend left. So many bird friends. So one of the things that's kind of a through line in this game, because of the game that we saw him play, Blitzball, Tidus is... I think this is misunderstood. It's not that he can breathe underwater. It's that he has incredible breath control, because he plays basically water polo underwater. So, I mean, it's a fantasy game, so it's not that he can... It's not like he's a fish man. He can just hold his breath for a very long time. He's very athletic. That'll be important for future scenes. And I'm going to do the old school save rotation. Professional fishman. I'd like to get a business card with that. Mugen, professional fishman. So we're in some ruins here, right? Some sunken ruins. I think that's what this area is actually called, the sunken ruins. Oh! It's professional fishmen. Oh, have fun, Random. That sounds awesome. I'm excited to hear how it goes. I'll be here later today, so pop in if you're free. Otherwise, have a great Saturday. So I really like the battle system of this game, and it's kind of a departure from really like every game that came before it. So every game prior to this had the active time battle system, which was basically you would have to wait for your meter to fill up, and then you'd be able to make an action. But while you were waiting, the enemies were doing the same thing. So if you paused, if you didn't do anything, they would have more time to attack. This one is turn-based, like strictly. And I think some people might think that that would limit your customization and like what you can do, but I think it makes it more of a strategy, and I think it's a lot more fun. Especially when you start maxing out the sphere grid, which is my favorite thing to do. The sphere grid is like the stat system in this game, for those unaware. Alright, so I am actually going to heal in this fight, because this guy could kill me. I just have to hit him enough for him to go away. Ah! Nice. Gotta juke those boss monsters. Off we go. Whoa. So Tidus is having a day. First, giant monster attacks his home, just lays waste to it, and then a huge pot-bellied fish tries to eat him after he falls off a dilapidated bridge. Tough
I had made
tough
it out
day.
of the frying pan and into the freezer.
But he's got his narrative wit about him.
I thought I was gonna die in this place.
Never let it be said that Tidus can't turn a phrase. Also, for just a second, right? Let's talk about Final Fantasy character design. Because a lot of people think this is ridiculous. And I can see why. It is silly when you look at it first. But it's also, at least in this game, I think it's practical. Because remember, this guy is not like a soldier, okay? Cloud looks like a soldier in Final Fantasy VII. I think pretty well. They made him look like a soldier. Or at least like a mercenary, which is what he's going for. Tidus. He's got like overalls and what looks like a half kind of short half pant thing going on his, what is that, his right leg. But okay, I'm going to go to bat for him a little bit. He's a blitzball player. And in blitzball, it's very physical. Like you have to tackle people. It's basically like water polo or rugby underwater. So his left arm, I think it's practical, right? He's got this like bracer because he's got to basically like punch people or get them out of the way, right? We see that later in the blitzball game. Now, the thing on his right leg, it seems ridiculous because he's wearing shorts and clearly like shorts are good for swimming, right? I just think that's supposed to be like his symbol, right? It's Jecht's symbol. It's to show that he's kind of connected to Jecht, but also it's this like weird hindrance, right? So his connection to his father is also this weird thing that's out of place that people have a hard time explaining, where it's like, that looks stupid. I bet Tidus thinks it looks stupid, but I could see a world where somebody on the Zanarkand, the coach, right, or the manager, whatever kind of professional help they get to run the teams, is like, hey kid, you're the greatest blitzball player's son. You got to have some kind of indication that you're related to him. So put a necklace on with that thing he always wore, put it on your pants, like get it figured out, boy, because we are going to take this to the top, and you cannot, by any stretch of the imagination, get there on your own merit. People need to know you're Jecht's son. Alright, we gotta find flint and tinder so our boy doesn't freeze. Oh. It's a cool old temple. We don't technically know it's a temple yet, but I think you kind of get the vibe. There's a desk with the flint in it. I can't remember where it is exactly. See, this is why I didn't want to boast about being a master of Final Fantasy X, because I would say that I know a lot about it, and I've thought a lot about it, but I'm no speedrunner, that's for sure. Here we go. Wow. A bit of a scaredy cat. Although I would be too. I mean... What? Oh, did you get offended that I said scaredy cat? Miso didn't appreciate that. Alright. Yeah, I know. Well, we're playing Final Fantasy X today. There's no cats in it. No prominent ones, anyway. You can come back when we play 7. We'll get Kate Sith in our party.
I need food.
True. Who doesn't?
What do you want?
It was a bad call. Your team lost because of you.
You came to say that?
You suck, Tidus. Goodbye. He literally leaves.
10 years.
Come on, Orin.
I thought you'd be crying.
There's the crying again. Don't cry.
You cried.
You cried.
Hey, wait! Don't go out on me! Just hold on. I'll get more wood.
Oh, God. Great monsters in this game, too, by the way. I love every design, basically. I don't think there's one that's a dud. Final Fantasy's pretty good about that, usually. Usually there's always interesting enemy design.
Give me a break!
Seriously. So we're just going to use a potion, because a high potion would get us back to full health, but Tidus only has like 400 HP right now, so... Also, it's not a bad thing to get hit, because right now, the way that the limit gauge raises is by taking damage, at least for Tidus. Blah! So just be in his position. Like, you'd be you'd be losing your mind. Suddenly these weirdos show up. There's this girl in like a lycra swimsuit. Guy in a gas mask. It's weird. Things are strange. But she's fighting with us. She doesn't say anything, which is important.
You on my side? Cool!
And she can use grenades. Well, she can use items. Or, everyone can use items. She can use, like, offensive items. Who gave this monster the grenades? I want to see him use them. Why? These grenades I've carried my entire life have finally failed me. So I'm going to make a defense of this game. There's a lot of butt shots like that. Now, just popped out of existence.
Fed! Trivita Grisa! Ifan Petit, Fapuneket Fedrik. Kuno.
So, they're speaking a different language, which we come to find out is basically... It's really cool, because I think in Japanese, they do the same thing, basically. But it's a lot easier in Japanese, because they just use, like, the phonetic, like, a, I, ue, o, kakikuke ko, sashi susesho, sashi suseso, right? Like, all of the a, I, ue, o sounds. And what they basically do is they just kind of take it and jumble it up. So it still sounds like Japanese, but it's, like, weird. And in a really cool way, they got the same effect by just taking the English alphabet and assigning different letters to different letters, right?
Hey, that
So, like,
hurts.
I know enough about these scenes.
Whoa.
I can kind of tell you what they're saying. So, like, Riku, the girl, and she said kuno. It just means sorry, and it's, like, literally a one-to-one, which I think is pretty impressive that they made it sound like a language, because it's just gobbledygook. Not kami gobbledygook. Rest in peace, Norm. But
Right, whatever. I said I don't understand.
Fed!
stop.
Said you can stay if you make yourself useful.
You understand me?
Why didn't you speak earlier? Okay, that's a funny line, actually, because imagine waking up in a world like this, and then the first language you hear is that. You're like, oh, great. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to communicate with anybody, right? That'd be a nightmare. There we go. So the only thing I'm going to be using a guide for is those, because I do want to get the platinum while I'm working on this game, or at least set myself up for it. The only missable trophy is the Albed language. So, next one is not for a little while, so that's good. Okay.
Oh,
I know how to use the sphere grid. I've played Final Fantasy X. So I love the sphere grid. I love how... I think it's one of the instances of encouraging grinding that's not like a slog, because there's enough... you can basically do whatever you want with a character, right? Like, you get to a point in the game where you can, if you're willing to grind, you can max out your stats, like to 9999, which is crazy, right? So I think maybe the stat cap for like attack and stuff is 999. No, I don't think it is though, because the HP cap is 99,999. Like, you get pretty nuts. And what I like about the sphere grid is that it's definitely a grind if you don't like this kind of thing, but for me, I love grinding. So I'm kind of cool with it, especially since, barring one thing, which is using a particular summon later in the game, Yojimbo, and using his Zantetsuken attack to just one-shot like the super powerful enemies at the end of the game, you can really make all of your characters monsters.
But there should still be some power left. We're gonna go down there and activate it. And then we should be able to salvage the big prize.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get to work.
Roger.
Yeah! He did a big flip. I'm going to do a big flip, he says. So this is cool too, because this is setting up some very fun foreshadowing for later in the game. What the big prize is, I should say. Because what we come to find out is that what they're trying to excavate is the airship that we see much later. Wah! So I'm just going to steal a bunch of grenades from these random encounters while I can, because they're going to be helpful for the boss that's coming up. I wonder, actually, what can I change in the config here? Names on... Okay. I don't think there's been a re-release yet where you can actually play in Japanese. That would be cool. I have the Japanese version of the game for the Vita. I bought it when I was in Japan. Primarily because it actually came with a physical case for 10.2, which I've never seen before, and I just wanted to have that, so... Just some percussive maintenance. Titus, expert IT engineer. Shout out to Ashens on YouTube for something that stays in my head since I heard him say it like 12 years ago. A little bit of percussive maintenance. Just hit the shit out of it. Gross. So I called her Riku, that's her name. Technically we don't know that yet, but I know because I've played Final Fantasy X. The cool thing about this game too, you really want to go for that overkill because it ups the amount of experience you get, which I think is a great mechanic. Because it encourages further leveling up, basically, which I think is awesome. You know, I like games where you can turn off XP and where you can do, like, challenge runs. Like, I'm doing a Nuzlocke, for God's sake, but I think that there's a certain special feeling you get with, like, min-maxing. And in my opinion, this game is like the ultimate min-max, especially when we get to the end. Alright, so we have restored power. But there's a big squid. There we go. And look at that. Gave me another turn. So we're just gonna throw grenades at this problem until it goes away. So it basically just asks you to guard, I think just to teach you that you can do that. But eventually we're going to do a pincer attack. Instead of healing instead of standby, are you not gonna let me heal? There we go. I was gonna say, You're not gonna let me heal her? I don't think this does enough to... Nah, I would have killed her. So we don't want that. I could have sworn that you were able to do like a pincer attack. I'm like, can you just do standby? That's kind of lame. No, there we go. Okay. I was going to say, I know that's in my memory. No! Yuck. There we go. Nothing a grenade can't handle, eh, boys? Nice. I don't think we find out what this facility is. I mean, I'm assuming it's just like an old hangar or something that was maybe used by like a civilization like Xanarkand, or maybe Bevelle, as we come to find out. But oh, hey Miso. She says, "I'm the center of attention. Me. How could you possibly play a video game when there's me?" Here, enjoy my shoulder for a minute. Alright, don't flaunt your goods here. Come on. Oh, it's a fight. It's a fight. So there, we get a good view of the airship there. Got a very, very curious kitten. You want to learn about Final Fantasy? We almost named her Aerith, and then she was so bouncy that I wanted to name her Yuffie. But, alright, come on. I think she's more of a Yuffie than anything. She also loves sneak attacks, so.
Hey,
You outside.
hey, I helped out, didn't I?
You eat your gruel on the deck like a seagull.
Hungry.
Stop hitting me.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Hey,
But my stream bugged out on him saying whoa, and it just clipped like a million times. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
because you eat too fast.
I'm going to take a break in a little bit here. Ow! Jeez, Miso. I've got a podcast to do. But I wanted to get through kind of the opening here, and I'm going to set up my Ethernet cable a little bit differently so that hopefully that doesn't keep happening.
Hello there. What is your name?
Riku,
Whoa! You're really doing understand. Woo-hoo-hoo! Why didn't you say so earlier?
I didn't get a chance to. Everyone thought we were a fiend.
We?
We?
Oh, we means you.
Who are you guys anyway?
We're Al Bhed. Can't you tell? Wait, you're not an Al Bhed hater, are you?
I
Got
don't
some
even
racism.
know what an Al Bhed is.
Where are you from?
Zanarkand. I'm a blitzball player. Star player of the Zanarkand Abes.
Did you hit your head or something?
You guys hit me?
Fair enough.
Oh, right.
Right.
Do you remember anything before that?
So I told her everything there was to tell about Zanarkand. About life there, Blitzball, and Sin's attack. And about how Aaron and I were engulfed in this light. I just said things as they came to mind. But then I started to wonder. Did I say something funny?
You were near Sin. Don't worry, you'll be better in no time. They say your head gets funny when Sin is near. Maybe you just had some kind of dream?
My whole life isn't a
You mean I'm
dream,
sick?
right?
Because of Sin's toxin, yeah.
Right?
You sure?
Yeah, there is no Zanarkand anymore. Sin destroyed it 1,000 years ago. So no one plays blitzball there.
Huh? What do you mean, 1,000 years ago? But I saw Sin attack Zanarkand. You're saying that happened 1,000 years ago? No way.
Miso's going nuts. Alright, gang. Well, I'm going to go ahead and save here. So I have a podcast to get ready for, but I wanted to get this started because I'm really excited to keep going. So tune back in. I would say in about 3 hours. I'm going to be streaming this for the rest of the day. Just wanted to make sure things are going well. Like I said, I'm going to kind of try to fix my Ethernet setup a little bit because I was kind of blipping out there a little bit. I'm not sure if that came through in the recording. But either way, lots of fun stuff to come. I will talk to you all soon.